particular room where I work definitely has something going on in it. PTs pass in that room more than any other. Most claim to see her in the upper corners of the room, behind the door, or behind the curtains. When pressed to describe her or who her is, they'll just point in a direction and say her. They rarely speak of her in the past tense. It's normally in the present tense, like she is there. In that room, lights flicker, mostly when you turn them off. They sort of surge a little bit, if that makes sense. Sometimes PTs will complain about someone who keeps whispering hey or breathing in their ear while they are trying to sleep. All stuff I dismissed as, yes, lots of people die there because it's room 1. It's more likely to have people in it. BC, it's the first room on the hallway, and most critical PTs are in that room, closest to the nurse's station. Flickering lights, or power surges, faulty wiring, or bad bulbs. People hearing things or seeing things is a regular phenomenon when they are dying, so I say it's the brain preparing to, or actively dying, not a true ghost. One evening, I was making rounds. It was about 2:30 a.m. I walked past that room. The lights were off. The door was closed, as no one was in it. I came back by about 3 a.m., and the door was open about 2 feet. The bedside light was on, and the curtain pulled around the far bed. I could see a silhouette of a person standing through the curtain. I thought it was a co-worker trying to scare me. We scare each other regularly. Since I could see them through the curtain, I was going to, reverse that shit and scare them. I slipped in the door, tiptoed crossed the room, and tried to grab them through the curtain. I lunged fully, expecting to grab him, and I grabbed nothing but air. I was leaning forward enough. It looked like I was trying to swing on the curtain. I kind of kept going and ended up laying across the bed. Whoever I had seen through the curtain was not there. I had a shiver run up my spine and a sudden feeling of dread in my stomach. My hearing became very acute, and it was almost like things slowed down with my vision. I could hear my heart pounding in my ears, and it took what felt like forever to look back towards the door. The bathroom light that was off, then pulsed, fluttered like it was trying to come on. Time and speed came back to me, and I bolted out the door and back to the nurse's station. My co-workers were all there doing some charting or come back up a different hall. They laughed when I told them what happened. We walked back down to the room. The light was still on, curtain was partly open, and dangling where I pulled so hard on it. But the bed covers were flung open on one side, like someone got out of bed. Bathroom light flipped right on and back off with no issues. They jokingly accused me of sleeping on the job and having a night terror. Now I use humor to kind of cope with that room, and I'm back on days. I'll say, "Not today, Satan," or "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," or the OL reliable, "The power of Christ compels you," in a half-joking manner going in that room. Closed, old, locked psych unit on the 11th floor is occasionally used for overflow patients and staffed by float pool when needed. Working night shift, had a patient ask during night med pass if I could ask housekeeping to not empty her trash in the middle of the night as it woke her up the night before. I thought, weird, but okay. I called housekeeping, and they said they don't have anyone cleaning on nights on the overflow unit. This patient was fully oriented, walkie-talkie, not weird at all, not a sundowner in any way whatsoever. 3 a.m. rolls around, and the patient rings her call bell, and as I'm walking down the hall to her room, The double doors. Locked requires a badge swipe. Close. I answered her bell, and she is mad that she asked for housekeeping not to come in, and they did. She said they emptied her trash, and she heard the can open and the trash bag rustle. I profusely apologize and insist it won't happen again. I call housekeeping, who again stated they don't have someone covering our floor at night because it's just an overflow unit. So I call security since the doors are badge access only. They pulled the badge swipe logs for the doors, and no one had access to doors after the kitchen staff picked up the dirty trays at 9 p.m. They pulled footage of the hall corridor and can clearly see the doors open halfway, close, and not a single person in sight. We still have no explanation to this day, and it's just well known that the 11th floor is haunted. Apparently, it was making the psych patients go crazier, and they moved the unit to a new wing of the hospital and only use this floor now for short-term overflow. I see you, nurse here. When I worked night shift, I had experience with the room. It's the haunted room? Normally, I don't believe in this stuff. But one night, when it was dead quiet, me and another nurse at the station across from the room heard clear as a bell a voice come over what sounded like a radio. There's no fucking intercom or radio in that room. Being that we were both new, I checked that room ceiling to floor to make sure there wasn't a speaker of some kind somewhere. There wasn't. We shrugged it off, that maybe it was someone bumped the hospital PA system, and we heard a bit of that convo. As I walked out of the room, it happened again, clearly coming from behind me in the room, and louder than before. Radio static and a woman's voice muttering something I couldn't make out. There was nowhere for that radio static to come from. No speaker, no intercom, no PA system, nothing. Ice shot through veins, and my ears burned with adrenaline. A senior nurse once told me that periodically they open the windows against policy to air out the juju. So I opened the windows, and the voice never came back. Since then, I've come to accept that there's ghosts sometimes in the room, and they occasionally turn shit on, bump into shit, or say something, but they've never done anything nefarious.